Welcome back to Viral Vault. Tonight we drift through folk horror, supernatural thrillers, cult classic horror, and even a touch of cosmic dread. Some stories breathe smoke, some scream through walls, some crawl straight out of nightmares. Stay close, because our first tale is painted in shadows and dripping with Gothic whispers. 1. Nosferatu 2024. A Gothic shadow stretches, a psychological horror that feeds on silence.
Nosferatu.
Robert Eggers pulls us into blackened streets where the plague is not the only thing hungry. Bill Skarsgård twists himself into the monster. And Nicholas Hoult staggers like a man marked by fate. From the first candlelit corridor, I felt the dread thicken, like the air itself wanted me gone. Eggers paints each frame like a funeral painting, dripping with atmosphere. For me, this is a 9 out of 10. A psychological horror that seeps deeper the longer you think about it. But wait, shadows here aren't finished, they're calling across the sea to London. 2. The Conjuring 2, 2016. In London's crooked house, a supernatural thriller waits in the dark. James Wan knows exactly how to make walls breathe. This time, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga return as the Warrens. Dragged into the Enfield haunting, young Janet, played by Madison Wolfe, becomes the voice of something no child should carry. I remember watching that crooked man shuffle, his limbs bending wrong, and thinking, yeah, sleep is cancelled. The Conjuring 2 balances warmth and terror. A rare supernatural thriller that hits both heart and spine. For me, it's a 9.2 out of 10. Classic chills with craftsmanship. And as the Warrens close the door, another door creaks open, this one, leading into a cloister where silence isn't holy at all. 3. The Nun, 2018. Valak waits, wrapped in robes, smiling like a corpse.
Hello.
Corin Hardy directs this slice of the Conjuring universe, with Taissa Farmiga stepping into a convent soaked in dread. Romania's fog, the endless tunnels, the silence before Valak's hiss, it all should terrify. And sometimes it does. That hallway scene, candle flickering, shadow behind, goosebumps. But then the film stumbles, leaning on jump scares instead of true evil. Still, Bonnie Aarons as Valak? Unforgettable. For me, it's a 6.8 out of 10. A haunting that delivers imagery more than depth. Yet the crypt doesn't stay shut, because from Gothic Europe, we tumble into cult chaos, blood, and demons with a very different grin. 4. Demon Knight, 1995. Blood seals, doors scream, a cult classic horror explodes in neon.
Thank you.
Ernest Dickerson gives us a wild ride. Dripping with 90s camp, Billy Zane chews the screen as the collector. Grinning through carnage, Jada Pinkett Smith stands her ground. Survivor energy blazing. This isn't subtle. It's monsters, gore, one-liners, and buckets of fun. I felt like the VHS itself might start smoking. For me, Demon Knight is a 7.5 out of 10. A cult classic horror that knows exactly what it is. But don't laugh too long, because the next night doesn't play fair. His demons come cloaked in prophecy. 5. Devil's Night, 2024. Prophecy burns, a supernatural thriller dipped in fantasy.
Lord put this creature on Veroka for a reason.
All of you get some rest.
Directed by a newcomer, Devil's Night tries to weld myth with hellfire. The hero, scarred and stubborn, faces demons not just with a blade but with fate pressing down. The imagery leans dark fantasy, cloaked riders, skies tearing open, but the horror still creeps in through whispers of damnation. It doesn't always land, yet its ambition gives it a strange pull. I caught myself smirking at its melodrama, then shivering at a sudden shriek. For me, this lands at 6.5 out of 10. A supernatural thriller with more style than sharpness. But shrieks can linger, and the next house we visit, its walls never forget. 6. Poltergeist, 1982. They're here, and the supernatural thriller never left.
In the very beginning. Now let's go get your daughter.
Toby Hooper directs, with Steven Spielberg's fingerprints all over the ghostly glow. Craig T. Nelson and Jo Beth Williams watch their perfect suburbia rot under spectral invasion. Carol Ann's voice, so soft, so eerie, becomes iconic. That clown doll? Pure nightmare fuel. The way the house folds into itself still stuns me. Poltergeist isn't just haunting, it's cinematic trickery at its finest. For me, this is a 9.3 out of 10. The supernatural thriller that redefined ghost stories. But the static doesn't fade. It carries a whisper, a blues riff, a letter written by something not alive. Seven. Death Letter Blues, 2023. A song plays, and spirits hum along. This indie from the South drips with sweat and sorrow. A mysterious blues record binds grief to something darker. The protagonist, hollow-eyed, strums chords that summon shadows instead of comfort. The director leans into atmosphere, letting silence between notes bite harder than screams. I felt trapped, like the film itself was humming in my ears. No huge jump scares, but an unsettling curse that grows bar by bar. For me, this is an 8 out of 10. A haunting slow burn with soul. And when the final note fades, the door swings wide again, this time into houses sold with ghosts included. 8. SurrealEstate, 2021. Ghosts for sale? Who's buying?
I don't believe in ghosts.
I just work with them.
George R. Olson crafts a playful but eerie blend of real estate and restless spirits. Tim Rosen leads as Luke Roman, a realtor with second sight. Every house comes with baggage. Whispers in the attic. Footsteps on stairs. Rooms colder than death. It is lighter than most horrors. But that makes its chills sneakier. I laughed, then I shivered. For me, this is a 7 out of 10. A supernatural story that sells atmosphere with charm. But some houses don't get sold. Some families don't escape. And across the ocean, a third presence waits. 9. Sosok Ketiga, 2023. Family fractures, a psychological horror cuts through bloodlines. From Indonesia, director Daniel Rifka delivers a chilling domestic nightmare. A married couple, suspicion gnawing, discovers betrayal carved deeper than flesh. The third presence, Sosok Ketiga, lurks where trust should lie. Jessica Mila's performance aches with paranoia. Every glance sharpened like a blade. It's not just ghosts. It's the horror of family rotting from inside. I found myself whispering, "Don't look behind you," and then they did. For me, this is an 8.2 out of 10. A psychological horror that lingers long after credits roll. But betrayal has company. And soon, an old curse returns with a familiar name. 10. El Conjuro 4, 2025. Another case file opens, the Warrens walk again. Directed by Michael Chaves, El Conjuro 4 tries to stretch the Conjuring saga one more mile. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga return, faces lined with exhaustion and faith. The scares hit, but sometimes feel recycled, like echoes of their greatest hits. Still, there are moments, the shiver of a shadow, the scream in a chapel, that remind you why this world endures. For me, it's a 7 out of 10, a sequel that treads carefully but keeps the door cracked for more. And maybe that's the real fear. What if the case files never end? This has been ViralVault, wandering through folk horror, supernatural thrillers, psychological horror, cult classic horror, and even cosmic shades. Some curses sing, some laugh, some stare until your skin crawls. Which story clung to you the hardest? Which shadow is still in the room? Tell me in the comments, if you dare.